Hello and welcome back to The Give and Go. We are here to talk about all things AFC Asian Cup, and special announcement in place. We will be doing daily AFC Asian Cups reactions starting today. So look out for our content every single day after the final match. And just a quick thank you to everyone who's been subscribing, who's been commenting, who's been sending us messages. So much support from the Asian community. It's beautiful to see how passionate you guys are about your teams, about your confederation, and about this tournament. Let's start with the headline of the week. The biggest upset of the tournament so far. Iraq defeats Japan 2-1, brother, in an absolutely packed Education City Stadium in Al Rayyan. Iraq makes history, bro. History. And Iraq pulled a Japan on Japan.
Dude, I honestly couldn't believe it. Once the final whistle blew, 2-1, Iraq holding that 2-0 lead for the entire match. See, be honest with me. Did you really give Iraq a chance going into this game? Like, no. A true chance?
A true chance of winning, no. Of making it really tight, of making it competitive, yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you. And I think my overall conclusion here is I completely underestimated this Iraqi side going into this tournament, because not only did they beat Japan, who were the hottest team in all of world football, it wasn't accidental. What a masterclass in sitting back strategically, absorbing pressure, and then hitting out on the counterattack. That's what Iraq pulled off against this Japanese side. Every single player showed out. The commitment from the defense all the way to Ayman Hussein up front. Everyone had an exact role to play for this Iraqi side, and they all played it to near perfection. It was a near perfect game for Iraq, and dude, Japan had no answers.
Yes, and I want to hold off on the Japan talk because I do want to make this about Iraq first. They deserve the credit here, and if you would actually excuse me, I'd like to ask you to do a favor for me here. I'm going to go through the entire starting 11. After I say every name, I would like for you to salute. Give me a salute, all right? We're going to go down this entire starting 11 because the effort, the work these guys put in was absolutely mesmerizing, providing us with the blueprint on how to defeat this truly informed Japanese side. So to start, all the way at back, Jalal Hassan.
I'm going to hold it. I'm going to hold this.
Hussein Ali, Saad Naji, Rebin Sulaka, Ahmed Yahya, what a game. Franz Putros, Alamari,
baby.
Yusuf Ayman, Ibrahim Bayesh, Ali Jassim, and lastly, Ayman Hussein, bro, with an absolute brace in this game. Take a bow, boys. Take a bow. An incredible performance.
Incredible performance. Specifically, I want to highlight both Al-Amari and Ayman Yusuf, who were, when they needed to be, box to box, and then otherwise just so stout defensively in that midfield. They never let a Japanese player breathe, even for a split second. And you could basically say that about the entire defensive setup for Iraq, dude, because for as much of the ball that Japan had, and dude, they probably had it for like 70, 75 minutes of this match, they did not look comfortable for a single second of that possession, and it was all down to that Iraqi defense who never let them have it.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Iraq was suffocating Japan every single time there was a Japanese player on the ball. He couldn't be on it for more than 2 seconds, bro. No space to be comfortable, no space to get some dribbles in, and that's so important, so key to this Japanese offense, and they completely shut it out. For me, the key representative of that approach to the game was Ahmed Yahya. I thought this guy had an incredible game, defending his flank and not letting a single Japanese winger get by him. It was ridiculous, the performance I saw from him. And overall, as a team, the blueprint for how to defeat this Japanese side, I thought it was mesmerizing. It was beautiful. But you mentioned earlier about how we underestimated Iraq in our AFC Asian Cup preview, and I completely agree, bro, because when I thought about this Iraqi team, I thought that their absolute peak would be as a dark horse contender, as a team that could maybe go on a special Cinderella-like run, really pull off these incredible upsets, but, you know, eventually flame out in like the quarterfinals or semifinals. But after this game, I think they've entered a new zone of actual title contender. Iraq is an actual contender now, bro. And that's crazy to say, given how we thought they were going to compete in this tournament.
I completely agree. That's what I got out of this game is if they can beat Japan, they play this exact same way against anybody else in this tournament, they can win, which means we could see Iraq make a deep run semifinals or finals appearance. And once they're there, who knows what can happen. But I'm getting huge shades of Morocco 2022 in this Iraqi side, because this Iraqi side does focus on the aggressive side of football, the physical side, and then they pair it on the offense with some sheer pace at times, and then you still have the big man in Ayman Hussein who can get on the end of these crosses on these counters. So when you put it all together, this Iraqi team is well disciplined and honestly very organized in how they approach every game. Jesus Casas, I do think, has a lot of credit to be given here, because going into this tournament, I knew Iraq had a lot of talent. I was just questioning whether they could manage a game against the Big Five over the course of 90 minutes. This proved it. But I do think the pairing of this Iraq talent and Spanish coach Jesus Casas is the best pairing that I've seen for Iraq.
Match made in heaven?
It's a match made in heaven, man, because I think he has the tactics sound right. Dude, he made 5 changes to face Japan. 5. But it ended up working perfectly. He took off Mohamed Ali and went with a more physical midfield, and it worked beautifully, because that's exactly what they needed to do. Put bodies on Japan, make them struggle in possession, and then when you get those slim opportunities, just go and get the ball to Ayman Hussein. And they did that literally twice, and they scored each time. Iraq was nothing but efficient when they went forward.
Efficient, and the way they execute his plan, dude, I just can't imagine how proud he must have been of his team. And you're right, dude. I really like to credit coaches that are willing to adapt game to game in a tournament like this, because we're seeing a whole performance of lackluster coaching decisions across this whole tournament. Jesus Casas is one of the positives, though. For example, I thought taking off Zidane Iqbal, who was really good against Indonesia, and this wonder kid for Iraq, taking him off and not playing him in this game because they just didn't see his strengths suiting what he was trying to achieve in this match, and it ended up paying off completely. No one questions the decision after a result like this.
Yeah.
So props to him for doing what he did, and props to the team for being able to execute his plan to an absolute T.
Yeah, and on that first goal, though, and I kind of mentioned the first game, Suzuki made an error. What do you think about that first goal, where he kind of palms it cheaply and it goes straight to Ayman Hussein ultimately? I'm putting a little bit of blame on Suzuki here, just because he looked hesitant when he went for the ball. And when he ultimately did get contact on it, it was just kind of weak. It was a weak palm and straight to the middle. And I don't know. I feel like I'm being a little bit critical. I hate being critical on keepers, but since he made the mistake in the first game, I'm not saying this was a mistake. I just don't think it's promising if you're trying to be a top team like Japan is trying to be.
Hey, Reynoso sounds a little Japanese, bro. I'd be happy to jump in goal for them, bro, because after this game, that was my takeaway too. Suzuki is not the guy for them.
I don't know, man.
Not the guy
I don't
for
think
him.
so.
These mistakes he's making in the past 2 matches, that can't be what's your last saving grace for Japan when you have so much up front, so much in the midfield and defense. To have him defending your goal, I don't think he's the guy to do it. At least not right now. Switch him out. I don't know who they have in terms of their depth chart. Do you know any other Japanese goalkeepers that they could maybe go with?
No, that's the thing is, right, obviously their go-to guy's now retired just after the last World Cup. He's done. So now the number 1 spot is wide open. Zion Suzuki was the next guy up because he's really young and he's playing in Belgium, so he's kind of on the rise as far as young keepers are concerned in Japan. But I mean, at this point, I wonder if Moriyasu's gonna consider doing a goalkeeper change mid-tourney.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
It'd be harsh, but I think it might be necessary, man, because like I said, he just looks hesitant. Even if he does get the save or he does get contact on the ball, it just doesn't look confident for me. And if I'm a defender and I look back and I see a hesitant goalkeeper, that's the worst thing you could ask for.
Yeah, I thought that first goal was on him. Yeah, because the way he punched the ball out, I thought was a little weak. And it happened in that first game too. He made a save that just fell straight into the opposing team's offensive player. I don't think Suzuki is that guy. But looking at this team more broadly, my biggest question after this match is, Iraq played a phenomenal game, and they're proving to be a really good opponent. And I think going into this match that Japan underestimated Iraq because the way they played, they were very lackluster, they were a little lazy on the ball, and they really didn't turn it up until those final 30 minutes to tap into the Japanese team that we've seen for the past 2 years. So my biggest question is this actually a concerning loss for Japan? Or is it just like how Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia in the tournament of the World Cup and then went on to win the whole thing? Is this just a thing that happens every now and then to potential champions, and it's just a bump in the road to what ultimately will be them lifting the trophy?
I'm a little concerned, especially concerned for this tournament when it comes to if Japan can lift the trophy or not. I thought their game against Vietnam wasn't great, but what got them over the hill was just their sheer raw talent, and it really showed out in that second half when they, just went off 4-2. But in this game, I thought it was honestly the same performance against Vietnam. It was slow, a little uninspired. I said in that first game against Vietnam, they looked a little unmotivated, and in this game, all credit to Iraq because I think they forced it, but for some reason, Japan looked tired. Like they couldn't battle against Iraq. They were losing all the 50-50s. And when they did get isolation on the wings, as you already pointed out, Iraq won those battles on the flanks every single time. This was the worst Japanese performance I've seen in a couple years. And, more specifically, man, not a single player tried to take it into their own hands and amp up the energy for Japan. Junya Ito, I've always praised him for being a ISO guy that doesn't need help. He can create plays simply on his own with a ball at his feet. This was the worst game I've seen Junya Ito play since he started playing for the Japanese national team. Bro, he didn't do anything. And every time he got on the ball, he got beat. Every single time. He's always been able to get past defenders at least one time, put in a really good cross or, dance on the sides and cut inside and penetrate in the box. Dude, he did not have one moment in this game, not a single moment, and then he ended up getting subbed off in the second half. This was the worst game I've seen from Junya Ito, and low-key, probably the worst game that I've seen this collective Japanese team all together in a long time.
Yeah, Dake Fusakuba apparently played for like 60 minutes in this game. Apparently. Mitoma didn't follow up on his incredible performance in that first game. Gone, non-existent. Endo not seen as well. No. This was crazy, bro. It was crazy from all players in this team. I agree. Very shaky performance. I'm going to take a step back, though. I'm actually going to go I'm not concerned. I'm going to go I'm not concerned.
You're not even a little concerned.
I'm not concerned. No, I'm sticking. Concerned. I'm not going to be concerned about this one. I'm going to hold off on that. I think in recent memory, just the Saudi Arabia, Argentina, Spain losing in 2010 World Cup, I think when you're a team of this caliber, sometimes this happens. You go in a little too cocky, a little too overconfident. And they still were one goal away at the end of the day from tying the match up. Yeah. If they had just turned it up in those first 45 minutes and played like the same Japan that we know, maybe this would have been a different game. I'm not going to be too harsh on them on this one. I'm going to give them a pass.
I'm hoping they turn it up because this nation needs to make a deep run. That was my whole point in the preview. I won't repeat it here. But here's where it gets scary, though. Since Iraq did the job, and if they can just finish it off, they'll finish top of the group, right? Japan finished second, and Korea finished first in their group. They would potentially face each other in the quarters.
Round of 6. I thought it was round of 16.
It might be round of 16. Yeah. It might be round of 16, or I don't know, win. But either way, early.
Their path gets so incredibly hard. Incredibly hard.
Incredibly difficult. Not just for them, but also for their opponents, too. Like, it's just not good that Japan lost this game. And that's why I'm concerned, because they knew that. They knew that going into this. The warning should have been that first game against Vietnam. So that's why I'm a little concerned, because I thought they would have really awakened to that warning. Mm-hmm. But, credit due where it should be given. Iraq put on one of the best performances I've seen in an AFC Asian Cup.
Hey, I was curious, man. I asked about that Costa Rica result at the World Cup, and I think this is a thing for Japan. This is the thing, I think.
This is different.
Similar, bro.
I think they got beat in this one. Costa Rica just got a little lucky. I think they got beat here. Iraq beat Japan.
Right, but it was still. I still think the factor of letting it happen, I think, is really interesting about this Japanese team. And if it happens one more time, then I'm out on it.
One last thing though for Iraq, and I'm concerned because I want them to make a deep run. Ayman Hussein got injured at the end of the first half and he went out.
But how bad?
I don't know.
That's my question.
I don't know. And let's say he still can play in the next games. Is he only going to be able to give 30, 40 minutes, man? Like, that sucks because in both games, he has used his huge frame to bully defenders and get goals. It's been a huge component of how Iraq play offense. I think without Ayman Hussein, Iraq won't be as successful.
Oh, no.
Like, not even close.
Need him, bro.
They need him.
He's been arguably the best player at the tournament so far. 3 goals in 2 matches already. He's been doing incredible. He is the offensive force for Iraq, and what a player, bro.
I hope he's okay, but I'm just a little scared for Iraq in that sense.
Ultimately, man, this was the game of the tournament for me, so finally I'll be able to give a really high rating, match ratings, where we rate each game based off of entertainment, quality of play, the fans, the atmosphere. For me, this was an 8.7. I'm going high 8s.
I'm going to go 8.3 on this one. 8.3.
Okay. Tough man.
Great game.
Okay.
Just second half, it was, and not much happened.
Right. And next up, we have Vietnam facing off against Indonesia. A game that saw Indonesia win 1-0. What a result. And if you don't mind, brother, I'd like to take a moment here to address the camera and speak to the Indonesian community, because these people are very, very passionate, and proud for their team and for the players that represent their country here at this tournament. And I'd like to say something. I really would. I'd like to say something. And that's the fact that I was wrong. I was wrong about Indonesia. And I want to throw you under the bus, but I'd like to say you were wrong as well.
Oh, no, I definitely was.
Yeah, we were wrong.
It's going to be one of my points when we get to the
game. Perfect. We were wrong. But more specifically, I'll get personal with this one. I was wrong about Indonesia because I was recorded on this camera, on this YouTube channel, saying that Indonesia was the worst team at the AFC Asian Cup going into it. It was my prediction. It was my projection. It was what I was assuming based off the research that I had made. I said Indonesia's going to be the worst team here, and that's it. Indonesia, bro, is ahead of schedule. They are doing incredible. They get this 1-0 victory against Vietnam, proving that they are far and away from being the worst team here at this tournament. Oh, yeah. This team has players, this team has a great coach, and this team is developing at such a young age. The youngest team in this tournament, and I mean that as a compliment. I mean that as something that's a great sign of the development they're trying to do at the foundational level for this program and for this country. Indonesia proved me wrong here with this result over what I thought would be a feisty Vietnam team, basically dominating them and proving to be the better team here. And I want to give them credit because I love how they're utilizing the AFC Asian Cup as a stage to give these young players a chance to develop and to show their talents. Marcelino has been playing incredible football for this team. You got defenders like Walsh, Justin Hubner playing a really great game against this Vietnam side because I criticized their defense. I criticized how they were shaped at the back. But in this game, they finally stepped up and they even went as far as to get a clean sheet, bro. And so I'll give them their credit. And the thing is, man, I could be critical about Vietnam. I could be about how they approached this match, about their mentality, about the performance they gave overall. But when it comes to a take such as this one, when it comes to the Indonesian people, a result is a result. And so I'm here to say I was wrong about Indonesia. They are not the worst team here at this tournament. And they got a huge victory now against Vietnam 1-0 that just puts them so much more ahead of schedule than I thought they were. And I think is a great sign overall for this country and for this team.
Yeah, they showed against Iraq that they have an electric offense, and that same offense started with the same energy against Vietnam in this match. In the first 30 seconds, they attacked the heart of Vietnam's defense and immediately break them. It was ridiculous. Just unfortunately couldn't finish. But the next 15, 20 minutes, it was just all Indonesia just applying pressure to Vietnam. Then the game kind of slowed down a bit. Vietnam settled in and it became kind of like a cage fight, more of a midfield battle, if anything. But I actually credit Indonesia here, and you already kind of mentioned it. They got the clean sheet. And I actually think it was by design because, first off, there's a formation change. And then secondly, they weren't as risky going forward. They were a lot more conservative in their approach, only sending just their forwards when they would go in an attack and making sure they always had coverage at the back. Way more safer way to play because against Iraq, man, like they were just throwing everybody forward. Made for a great spectacle.
Now knowing how good Iraq is, it makes sense to me why they played like that, bro. Yeah. Completely fearless football.
Yeah, and that's the word I was just about to use. No matter how they play, whether it's defensive, conservative, or offensive, risky, Indonesia played with zero fear. That's what has impressed me the most over these last two games is they play as if, they're ranked 80. They play as if they're right there with like Bahrain or, Jordan, for example. Maybe they don't have the exact quality, but as you said, they're the youngest team here and they're showing that within the next 5-6 years, maybe they actually will be a mainstay in the mid-tier of Asian football. And getting a win at the AFC Asian Cup, what a way to do it. What a way to start that journey. A nice win here. You said you weren't going to be critical about Vietnam. I'm going to go ahead and go for it.
Go for it. Go for it.
Fucking Vietnam, man. Good Lord, dude. What a bad game they had. Because what's crazy is they settled the game down And then they gave Indonesia a goal. They gave it to him. One-on-one defending. The defender has his hands all over him, all over the Indonesian forward. It was stupid, man. What else do you think is going to happen? You think the ref's just not going to see it? You think VAR's not going to look at it? Bro, he fouled him probably like 5 different times in that one play. Of course there's going to be a penalty. It was so stupid, though, because it was right before the halftime, and Vietnam had settled the game. It was 0-0. Like, Indonesia had lost a little bit of that effort going forward. You were actually winning the defensive battles, and then you give them the goal.
Yep.
And what a big goal, by the way. The captain stepping up, and he needed to.
Oh, the cojones on this, man, bro. Man. You could feel the stadium get quiet in the build-up to that anticipated penalty, because you could tell a big moment was coming for Indonesia and their football in history, and man, this dude stepped up and finished it perfectly.
Perfectly. When he grabbed the ball, though, I was like, you don't want Strike to take it? You don't want Marcelino to take it? Like, I was like, you sure you want to take this right now, man? No, but he stepped up and he put it away. Thank God. Thank God. Yeah. And Indonesia just hold on. And Vietnam, they tried in the second half, but man, like, they could barely build a play. They could, and credit to Indonesia for not risking it, staying very sturdy at the back. They did very well to nullify Vietnam, but man, Vietnam had a really, really bad game. What was a cool feature of this game, though, for Indonesia? Arhan, man, with his long throw-ins. Oh my God.
Goodness.
I've never seen a team utilize it as often as they do. Yeah. Like, usually it's like once or twice. Dude, he did it probably like 10 times in this match. Yeah. And it's actually kind of deadly.
It's a dangerous tactic.
It's basically a corner kick once he gets that far up the pitch with the throw-in. So really interesting to see. And honestly, based off of these two performances, Iraq, Vietnam, I'm really glad Indonesia got the win, because if they can get to the knockout stage, a round of 16 match with Indonesia just going, crazy, pure chaos, they could make for a really entertaining match in the knockout stage.
Yeah, I just want to make this a point. I think people think that I have some sort of agenda against Indonesia, that I have some sort of hate in my heart for Indonesia. And nothing could be farther from the truth, man, because when I watch these football games, it's so hard to not like this team. It really is, man, with the ferocity, the spirit that they have. It's such a likable team, man. I can't say anything else. Like, it's so likable. It's so fun to watch them play this game. Sure, they may not be able to compete with the elite sides of Asia, but the fact that they're willing to try no matter what and just go for it, I always appreciate that and always love that. So after that first game and after the second game now, I'm fully convinced that Indonesia is a team that has proved me wrong in terms of my analysis going into this tournament. But now I'm looking forward to them, bro, because they have now a crazy matchup set up against Japan in this third game where they could pull off one of the craziest upsets in AFC Asian Cup history against a Japan team that is down on themselves right now. And this Indonesian team that's really feeling themselves after a victory over their rival, Vietnam. We could see a crazy result. And if it doesn't happen then okay, let's wait till the round of 16 and let's see what we can do there. Just proved to be a really feisty and tough team to break down with an exciting offense. And you never know what could happen in a matchup like that, bro. So Indonesia, definitely one of the more fun teams to watch here. And pure credit to them because they have proven me wrong completely. Still, though, as a neutral, I thought this game was a 6.1 rating for me personally.
Yeah, I'm going to join you. I'll join you right there, 6.1.
Yeah, 6.1.
Not a lot of action in this one.
Next up, we have Iran facing off against Hong Kong, a game that saw Iran win 1-0. But a game that all across the internet I'm seeing stir up a lot of controversy amongst the Iranis because we've been getting a lot of messages in regards to Iran as well. Because one of our most viral videos in the build-up to this tournament was the TikTok, the reel of you claiming that this Iran team was the greatest one of their generation, the greatest team of all time because of the moment. And I understand your case, but I've had so many Iran people DM me and make a claim for what they think was the best generation of Iran's national team. Okay.
What, in the 70s?
98. I'm hearing a lot of shots for 98. Yeah, 98. And I think it becomes a discussion of your take on modern football and older football.
Yeah, I'm good on just not even looking at that 98 team.
But I think that's sort of representative of how the Iran people feel about this team. Ultimately, it's not very positive. And then after a game like this one against Hong Kong, I'm hearing shouts for one of the worst Irani performances we've seen from them in the past few years. Do you ultimately agree with that statement?
I took this as Iran knew they were going to win no matter what. So when they approached this game, and yes, it was only 1-0 for the longest time, they couldn't increase the margin either. I just kind of took it as, they're fine. They know they're going to get the 3 points. They got the 3 points, and they also got a clean sheet technically. Like, I understand that it wasn't pretty, and I'll actually get into Hong Kong in a second, but they played a great game. Once again, I'll get there. Yeah, Iran were a little sloppy. They were definitely sloppy. No, they were very sloppy. I want to make that very clear. Mohanglu missed a golden opportunity at one point in the game. Rami Mirzayan had like 3 half chances. Should have put at least 1 away. You add all that up, Iran could have scored 3 or 4. They could have. They were just wasteful. Straight up, they were very wasteful. Sometimes you're not on it in front of goal. But I thought they were patient. They never forced anything. They didn't risk anything against this Hong Kong side. If there was space, they took it. And when they took it, bro, like, they were flying. But yeah, they didn't press the situation. I understand that, because they absolutely did not. Hong Kong actually dictated a lot of the play here with their defense. But the thing is that I took it as Iran were okay to let that happen, because ultimately they were never going to let Hong Kong beat them, is how I took it. If Hong Kong had taken the lead at any point in this game, I always understood that Iran were going to then step it up. But since that never happened, I thought Iran just played at a very coasting type of level throughout the entire match. That's how I interpret this match.
Yeah, it was definitely sloppy. A lot of the passes, I saw a lot of just simple mistakes that stood out. But I thought the approach from Hong Kong was interesting, because ultimately they were just relying on Iran to make mistakes and then take advantage of those mistakes. And they had 2. They had 2 mistakes that were nuts, right? Crazy opportunities.
Crazy. Everton should have finished that one.
Everton should have finished that one.
He should have scored, bro.
He should have finished it. But I agree with you, ultimately. If he had scored, I think Iran would have just turned it up a notch and played a much more quality game for the rest of the 90 minutes. But what they did was good enough in the moment against one of the weakest teams at this tournament. And so, yeah, I guess it's not an exciting victory if you're an Iran fan, but it is a result. It is a result, and I still think I see them as title contenders in this tournament. I'm still going to defend Iran when it comes to that conversation of them being the best Iran team that we've ever seen. I think this team is very, very good, and I also think that the coach made rotations as well with Mohangulu starting up top, a man who shouldn't see the pitch anymore for Iran, in my opinion, because you have so much more quality in your bench. But sure, against Hong Kong, try it out, see what happens. They didn't put on their best performance. It wasn't the best 90 minutes, but I still think Iran is a threat, and I still think their fans should be high on this team, because the quality is there, bro. It really is. And until they completely crash out on this tournament, I'm going to be supportive of this team, bro. Because looking at their flag, it's the closest thing to Mexico.
It's actually low-key, because it even has like a centerpiece.
Yeah, it's just vertical instead of horizontal. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not concerned whatsoever. They balled out against Palestine, bro. Balled out in that first match. And so I just thought they took this one a little bit lighter because they knew they didn't need to. But, you know, going into a lot of World Cups, I've always seen the Irani fans be a little negative, being like, I wish we were a little bit better, or I wish we were a little bit this, you know, something like that. And that was our narrative for Iran. They've always had some sort of distraction, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that they can change that this tournament, because this is the most talented team that Iran have seen in the modern era, and I think they're going to use it. I'm not concerned whatsoever about this performance. Hong Kong, though, I would just want to say, big Hong Kong fan, man. Big Hong Kong fan. I thought they played as good as they could have for what was given to them, for the type of players that they have at their skill level. I thought they played a good game, man, seriously. And it was one that was fearless, because Bjorn Anderson set them to press. Like, they actually applied a full press in and out during the 90 minutes of the match, and it worked because both of their chances that they were able to craft were off of a press, forcing the Irani back line to make a mistake. Unfortunately, they just couldn't finish. So they nearly completed their mission that Anderson had set them out to do. So I'm really, really impressed with Hong Kong and how they approached it. They were very positive. Yeah, in the second half, they didn't have the energy. They were very tired. I understand that. But that first half, I thought Hong Kong did so well. And when you consider the huge gap between where Iran and Hong Kong are on the FIFA ranking, it's so large. I think the fact that Hong Kong were were even able to be remotely competitive, I think is a sign of the times where Hong Kong are as a nation, because yes, they're very, very low, but within their realm of football, they are on a certain rise. So I'm really happy with this performance from Hong Kong. I thought they played great, man. And there were at times where, Bedan Vand or Rezayan Kanani kicked the ball out of bounds because they're getting pressed. And so, really good on Hong Kong to play their football and not be afraid, even though they were up against the mighty Iran.
Yeah, I've been taking it upon myself to kind of gauge the interest of certain countries and the teams that represent them. And when it comes to Hong Kong, bro, they're so proud of this team. They are so proud. I've been seeing nothing but support, especially after last night's match.
Yeah.
Nothing but support from the Hong Kong fans for how they played. And you can even throw in their first game as well against UAE, but they still played a really good game. If you're a Hong Kong fan, I think this is positive. This feels good, man. Especially if you compare it to China, bro. This feels a lot more positive, a lot more better with how they play. And I think that's really good. And I also think Hong Kong is indicative of a take I've been forming watching this whole tournament, and that I've been hearing based off of how other AFC Asian Cups have gone. I think the gap between like the weaker teams and the biggest teams in Asia is becoming smaller.
Oh, yeah.
Because these games are becoming very, very competitive, bro. And we're not seeing that many blowouts. And if a team defeats another team, it's by a smaller margin, man. And so I've actually been really surprised with a lot of the lower level teams here in Asia. They've been performing so well, bro. And it's actually, I think, a big indication of how much Asia is progressing as a footballing power and just how that gap is getting tighter and tighter as we move on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you're right, because Hong Kong are indicative of that gap closing just ever so slightly, because they were going to be my litmus test to see how good they actually were. Because I don't know if you remember in the preview, even though Hong Kong are rated as the worst team, I knew that they weren't actually that bad. I mean, they're, relatively bad, but I knew that they were actually better than what FIFA makes them out to be. And the fact that they had a good game against the UAE and a very solid game against Iran, I think shows that. Mm-hmm. It definitely shows that. And then, of course, we've seen Indonesia, we saw Malaysia, and we'll get into that a bit too, keeping their games tight and playing good, decent football. So yeah, really proud of Hong Kong. I think the only thing that I was missing in this game was I just wish they had gotten a goal. Just one.
Yeah.
I don't think they deserved a draw, honestly, or especially not a win. I think Iran deserved to win here. But I think Hong Kong would feel just a little hard done that they didn't get at least one goal in this match. It would have been dope.
What ends up being your match rating for this game?
Yeah, 6.8. 6.8. Okay. It was solid for like maybe 30 minutes, and then Iran kind of just, canceled out Hong Kong. But I loved how Hong Kong approached it.
I thought the Iran goal was fire. Just pure technique.
Oh, dude.
Finish,
what a slick finish from Gayedi, man.
Silky, bro. Silky. Sheesh. Beautiful. Tucked in finish. Put it to bed. 6.5 for me. Yeah. 6.5. And next up, just to add to the drama, just to add to the chaos of this AFC Asian Cup so far, we had a shootout with South Korea tying Jordan 2-2. Earlier, you asked me about whether if I thought Iraq could take it to Japan, right? Yeah. Well, I'd like to flip that on you and ask you this question. Did you expect Jordan to be able to get a result like this against South Korea?
Similar to your answer, I expected Jordan to take it to South Korea. I didn't think they'd get a result, to be honest. And I especially didn't think they would have a lead for a majority of this match, bro. Favorite game of the tournament so far for me already. I just want to spoiler alert.
Wow.
My God, this game was so entertaining. This first half, probably the best half of Asian football I've probably ever seen. It was end to end. There was so many different points of contention with Altamari flying down the wing on one end, Lee Kang-in on the other trying to dictate with his cuts and his passes. And then Heung-min Son actually started off pretty hot, honestly. And he had a slow start in that first game, but he looked on it today. And this game just had so much drama. I started this game with my head down, though.
Dang.
My head down because Captain Asan with a rash challenge in the box.
Clear as day.
Clear as day, man. I'm like,
Clear
2 minutes in?
Yep.
That's how we're starting? Because I went into it with so much hope, and I was like, it's over. It's done. I lost all hope within 2 minutes of the match, and Heung-min Son steps up after a little hop, a little skip. He puts it up 1-0 off the penalty spot.
Panenka, bro.
Yeah,
funny looking Panenka, but still Panenka by text, but beautiful finish. They go up 1-0.
They go up 1-0. And for the next 15 minutes, I thought Korea were going to get a second one because Jordan couldn't settle down, and Korea looked hungry. They could taste the blood, and they wanted more. They were applying pressure to Jordan. They were kind of handling it, but I was like, this is just not looking good. I thought they were going to be able to do it, but I was wrong. And this is why I love football, man. It's why I watch any game, no matter where it is on the globe, because around the 20th minute, we saw the tide shift into Jordan's favor. Altomari all of a sudden starts just dominating that right-hand flank. Almardi on the other side, getting into the box. And where Jordan really started to succeed is that they met Korea further up the pitch. So they started winning the ball back really high up, and when they got it back, they immediately went forward. Korea actually got a little shell-shocked here because they could not handle that midfield pressure. All of a sudden, Jordan were winning the 50-50s in that midfield, and the game completely got flipped on its head. Jordan started to dominate. For the next 15, 12 minutes, Jordan just started to build an insane amount of momentum. And I remember like getting up on my couch. I was like,
you could feel it.
I could feel it. Like a goal has to come. Otherwise, it's going to be the biggest waste of the tournament if they don't use this momentum.
No, there's blue balls right here, bro. I'm getting teased, man. Give me the fucking goal.
Give me the goal. Corner kick comes up. And the big man from the back of Jordan, Al Arab, babies Yong-woo in the box, forcing him to put the ball in the back of his own net. It's 1-1.
It's 1-1, bro. A title bout here, bro, is what it felt like, man. This felt like a World Cup match, dude, with the drama, with the stage, the fans in attendance. I'm with you, dude. It was such a mesmerizing display of football in that first half, but it wasn't done yet.
No, it wasn't done yet. As soon as that goal went in, Jordan just maintained that pressure. Dude, they didn't stop. And I just got even further on the edge of my seat. Yeah. And then we saw one of the craziest goals, I think, so far of the tournament. A wild half volley from Yazan, who puts it right in the bottom corner, just right there, just right past the goalkeeper's fingers. It's 2-1. Pure ecstasy for Jordan. They flipped the game 2-1 going into half.
And I know that maybe from I know how just seeing the goal can look a little, maybe you can't see the complications of a goal like that to just the average eye maybe, but that is such incredible technique on that strike, bro. Yeah. I understand that leading up to it, his mentality was, fuck it. I'm just going to swing at it. Let's see what happens. Because when a ball's bouncing that high and it's got that trajectory, it's so hard to hit. But the way he caught it too was so unique, bro. It like hit the ground at the same time and had a weird bounce that was directed straight to that bottom left corner where the keeper could not get to it. Insane placement, insane finish, 2-1 lead, and we have a fucking game, bro. And I start getting flashbacks of fucking 2014 World Cup, seeing Klinsmann all of a sudden look a little lost out there, bro. Know, fucking flashbacks.
I thought the same thing, bro. Seeing Klinsmann being like, shit, we're down. And I don't know if I know what to do here. Yeah. But it was crazy. The celebrations, though, of Jordan when they went up 2-1 was just beautiful to see because, in that first match, Almardi getting 2 doubles, right? Yeah. Each one. And you could see both of them just so proud and happy for their teammates because they didn't get the goals. They can rely on the rest of their teammates to actually show up for them. And that's what's going to be huge for Jordan going forward is everyone has to be locked in like they were in this game against South Korea because up until they conceded that final goal at the death and stoppage time, it was a perfect game from Jordan. They made 2 mistakes. One at the beginning with Ehsan doing a penalty and the second one, unfortunately, with Al Arab just sticking out a weary leg and forcing the ball in the back of his own net. Just unfortunate. It is what it is. Korea had been building prior to that. There was like a good 20 minutes before the 90th minute where it was all South Korea and they were really applying pressure to Jordan. But, dude, I mean, there were so many big defensive moments. Nasib, Al Arab's partner at the back was immense today. Dude, he was everywhere. And I felt a little sorry that they conceded that second goal because, dude, he had a 10 out of 10 performance.
Yeah, and that moment when the 90th minute arrived and they saw 11 minutes on the board, bro. Yeah. Good Lord, man. That must have frustrated them so much, and the goal came right after. I was looking at the instant replay for the goal. It did look like the ball was going to a spot where the keeper wasn't going to be able to get to it, and so the defender had to stick his leg in there. I think it's just unlucky that it just bounced in. And you can see it in his reaction. He was just like, fuck.
Yeah. I know. I'm not blaming the action for going for it. I'm not blaming anything.
Yeah.
I just think it's a little unlucky and he was a little tired. It just sucks.
Yeah.
That's just it. It just sucks. Yeah, and for Korea, just as a whole, I don't think they had a bad game. I mean, ultimately, they got the draw at the death. So they got a result at the end of this match. Good for them, 2-2. I don't think they had a bad game. Hwang In-beom, I thought, was just as impactful as he was in that first game. I thought Lee Kang-in was very influential. Maybe not as, but I mean, he can't do that every single game. Heung-min Son, I already said, was a little bit better. Lee Jae-sung, I thought, was just as good, too, out on the left side. I just think they played a really good team today. I think that's what happened, and they had to really work to try and defend their box, but then also get some goals themselves. And I think that's why we got the spectacle that we received 2-2, because it was just two teams playing exceptional football.
Yeah, and it makes things really interesting now because had Jordan won this game, then the matchup would have been against Japan in the round of 16. And so the fact that they tied in a way almost kind of helps. I think Jordan should be looking for second place here, bro. Well, shit, they'll face Iraq.
But either way, I think
either
you're screwed.
Either way, damn, dude, I'm just now realizing that. Either way, it's going to be a tough...
Unless a third place... unless a third place combination mixes it up. Because there's like a potential, I think, somewhere, depending on what four third placers go through, it might switch it a little bit. But either way, you're paired with that group, so there's a chance you play either Iraq or Japan. I think no matter what, you're kind of screwed, and you just got to play your best football to beat either of them.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's true. It's true. But, man, the matchups we're going to see in the future, I think, are going to be fucking insane, dude. I cannot be more excited.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I was saying in the previews. Once we get to the knockout stage, this is going to be some of the finest football Asia has ever seen. I'm serious, man. Like, it's going to be must-watch football, bro.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. Anything else on this game?
One last thing about Jordan, specifically, obviously, the right winger. I think Altamari is a privilege to watch. He's been a privilege to watch this tournament. And I think in this 2023 AFC Asian Cup, he has introduced himself as individually probably top 2 prospect in this tournament specifically. I think other than Lee Kang-in, no other player has been individually as influential and as good on the ball other than Altamari. I think he's been fantastic, man. He's so fast out on that wing, so deadly, and he can do several different things. He can play off the ball, make inward runs, and he had that chance where it got a little tight, but he got in the box and just a little pressure was applied to his back and he just couldn't get the shot off, but it was off of a crazy deep run. Or he's just really good with the ball at his feet and he can take players on one-on-one. I think him, Lee Kang-in, have really showed themselves to be like the next best crop of wingers I think that Asia is going to have to offer. No, I'm just going to give it an 8.7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, my personal favorite game so far was the Japan-Iraq game. I just love I love seeing a heavyweight actually get knocked out, right? Like a true knockout there. With this ending up in a tie, I'm gonna go 8.5.
Okay.
So it's right there. It's right there with you, but it's still the second best game for me in this whole tournament. The last game we have here is Bahrain facing off against Malaysia, a game that saw Bahrain win 1-0. Off of a game that I thought was an absolute stinker for the first 90 minutes. And then in those final 5 minutes, we got some absolute class. We got some entertainment. And boy, did it deliver with the Ali Madan game winner, bro.
Yeah.
After an incredible performance against South Korea, gives his team the victory here and gives his team a fighting chance to make it through in third place.
Oh, dude, this was a huge result for Bahrain. And you could see in the celebrations, dude, the entire bench just got off the bench. Fuck. Is that a better way to say that? The entire bench running to the corner to celebrate with Ali Madan, and the fans also in the crowd just going off with this basically buzzer beater of a goal for Bahrain. And they needed it, dude. They really needed it. The game against Jordan's going to be tough, but now even if they maybe lose that game 1-0 or if they get a draw, they will definitely be going through to the next round. So this was a must win at the end of the day. Honestly, though, dude, as you said, going into that 90th minute, I was like, wow, Malaysia's going to get a point here. Bahrain messed up.
Yep.
Because no matter what, Bahrain is better than Malaysia. There's no disrespect with that analysis. They just are. They prove themselves to be better, but They did their best to not show that, dude. They really did their best, man.
I was disappointed.
So disappointed
because I thought they played a great game last time. To play at this level against what I think to be the weakest team in the tournament now as Malaysia, I was a little disappointed. And then yes, from an entertainment, from an objective point of view, bro, I was struggling to watch this one, man.
It's tough.
I really was, and I thought it had 0-0. I thought it had 0-0 written all over it, man. That's what I thought the entire 90 minutes, and it wasn't until essentially an accidental corner kick was given. Because if you look at the play that led to the corner kick that saw Ali Madan score, it's a Malaysian player who tries to volley the ball out towards the front of the field, but instead scuffs it and hits it back out to the corner kick.
Yeah.
And so Bahrain is gifted another opportunity at goal, and it's through a cross that comes in that bounces out to Ali Madan with an absolute masterful touch to bring it down, and then an outside the boot finish to get it in. It was crazy, the circumstances leading up to the goal, but at the end of the day, Bahrain sees themselves win this match and get the 3 points through what was a really important victory.
Yeah, Madan is a stud. He was phenomenal in that first game against Korea. He comes up clutch here for Bahrain against Malaysia. A dirty goal, and one that I feel like the Malaysian goalkeeper will want back, just because there were so many players in front of him. Mm-hmm. The ball wasn't exactly in the bottom corner. He could have gotten to it, but slight hesitation, too many people in front of him. He just couldn't see the ball. Madan takes full advantage, 1-0 Bahrain. But it is funny, bro. It took 90 minutes for the game to come alive. Yep. 90 minutes, dude. Because before that goal, Malaysia actually had, I'm not going to say had, like quarter chances. They actually crafted like 2 quarter chances before Bahrain got that goal. And it makes sense because in that moment, I think both teams realized, they're like, wait, we need to win this game. So we have 6 minutes left on the clock. We have to go for it. One of us has to win this. And so all of a sudden, the game opened up. It became end-to-end football. And there was a moment where I think it was Wilkins, the right back, had a crazy volley attempt. Not half bad try. Yeah. Yes, he skied it, but he actually got it going in the right direction. Just couldn't bring it down. It was a hell of a chance.
He almost Tim Cahill'd that shit against Netherlands. Yes. Almost, bro. Almost. That would have been an insane moment.
It was a great try. Honestly, I applauded him for it. And then after that, Malaysia's tried to keep going forward, but then of course Ali Madan ends up getting that game winner. So congrats to Bahrain. They really needed this result, and now we'll get a really feisty match, I think, against Jordan.
Yes. That matchup is going to be awesome. I guess the last thing I want to say about Malaysia, just to give them some credit here, some of the best jerseys in the tournament for me personally.
You like them?
I like them a lot, bro. I like them a lot. I like that shade. It's a darker shade of yellow.
I don't like the darker shade.
I like that it's not that bright, annoying color. It's like a more sophisticated color. And
it is.
I think it represents the country well, and I like seeing it in the stands. I don't often like yellow jerseys, but to me, this is one of the best ones I've seen.
I always prefer banana yellow versus like dandelion yellow. Yeah. That's a personal preference.
That's personal. That's between you and your God, bro.
Yeah, man. But I will say, though, Malaysia, after having a really bad performance against Jordan where they got completely thrashed 4-0, I thought they had a lot more composed of a game here against Bahrain. Yes, Bahrain weren't the best offensively, but I thought Malaysia did well with what was given to them. And as I said before, going into 90 minutes, the game was there to be won by Malaysia. So the fact that they're able to get to that point, I think showed that they were able to settle down themselves in this tournament, and they nearly got a nice 0-0 point. But yeah, worst team in the tournament for sure. But it just is what it is.
It is what it is, and that's it for them because they face off against South Korea next.
Yeah,
so I think that is going to be really tough for them. But overall, I ended up giving this game a 6.
Same, 6.0.
6.